Welcome to the Health Headliner podcast by Tudu Digital. Our content is informational only and not medical advice. Please consult your provider. Now, let's dive into today's headlines.
We're always hearing about how important B12 is, right?
Right.
Well, there's this new study.
Uh-huh.
It's in the Annals of Neurology.
Okay.
And basically it's saying that even if your B12 levels are like normal, you still might not be getting enough for your brain to be as healthy as possible.
Interesting.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, so we're going to really break
And
down.
we've got all this research and opinions from experts.
Yeah, we're diving deep today
A deep dive into B12,
into B12 and what it means for our brains.
what it means for your brain.
It really does make you think.
It does.
It challenges some of the things we thought we knew.
Absolutely. So let's start with what the study actually found.
Okay.
They looked at 231 healthy older adults, and they all had B12 levels that were above the deficiency line.
Now, that's interesting because they didn't just look at B12 levels overall.
Yeah.
They focused on something called active B12.
Okay, so back up for a sec.
Sure.
Not all B12 is made the same.
Exactly.
What is active B12?
Active B12 refers to methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin.
Gotcha.
And these are the forms that your body can actually use
Okay.
for like brain health and other functions.
Okay, so for the people in the study who had lower levels of this active B12, even though like their overall levels looked okay,
Right.
what happened with them?
Well, they found that those people had slower processing speeds and responses,
Okay.
especially in the older participants.
So like if you can't remember where you put your keys, or you know you need to react quickly when you're driving.
Everyday tasks that need you to think fast.
Right.
And it's not just mental agility.
Oh, no.
They also did MRI scans.
Uh-oh.
And they found that the people with lower active B12
Yeah.
had more white matter lesions in their brains.
Okay, so I'm not a neurologist or anything.
Sure.
What are white matter lesions and why should I care about them?
So white matter lesions are basically areas of damage
Okay.
or scarring in the white matter of the brain.
I see.
And they can mess up the signals between your brain cells,
Oh.
which has been linked to cognitive decline and dementia.
So this is where it starts to get a little scary.
Yeah.
The study is saying that the amount of B12 they tell us to get now
Right.
might not be enough to have these ideal levels of active B12.
It makes you wonder if we need to change what we consider a healthy B12 level,
Right.
especially when we're talking about brain health.
So most adults are told to get 2.4 micrograms of B12 every day.
Right.
Is that number too low?
Well, we talked to a registered dietitian,
Okay.
Jessica Curting,
Mm-hmm.
and she thinks it's not really about the number itself,
Okay.
but more about the idea that just because a lab result is normal
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's the best for you as an individual.
So true.
She actually likes to see her patients' B12 levels on the higher end of normal.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just because it's normal doesn't mean it's the best for everyone.
Exactly, especially
Nope.
when we're talking about your brain.
Exactly. So what can people do about it? Should we all go get our B12 levels checked?
You should definitely talk to your doctor about it.
Yeah.
They can look at your overall health and your B12 levels,
Yeah,
figure out what's best for you.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about why B12 is so important for our brains.
Okay.
Why do we even need it?
We talked to Dr. Amit Sakdev.
Okay.
He's a neurologist.
Uh-huh.
And he said that B12 helps turn sugar into energy for your brain cells.
Okay.
So if your B12 is low, your brain isn't getting enough fuel.
So like when I feel that brain fog.
Exactly.
Like,
Like you're running on fumes.
yeah, and it's hard to focus.
Right. And Jessica Curting also mentioned
Mhm.
that B12 is important for cell function and red blood cell formation.
Okay.
And those are also super important for your brain to work, right?
So if you're feeling tired or you can't focus,
Yeah,
maybe you should get your B12 levels checked.
that's a good idea.
Now this is interesting.
What's that?
Dr. Clifford Sagel, who's another neurologist we talked to, he always checks B12 levels in his patients who have memory loss.
Wow.
Yeah, because B12 deficiency can sometimes look like dementia.
Oh, that's scary.
I know it's important to rule it out.
Right.
So yeah, catching a B12 deficiency early could be really important.
He also said we need to do more research
Of course.
to understand the long-term effects of B12 supplements.
Yeah, and how they could help prevent cognitive decline.
Right.
Okay, so where can we get B12 naturally?
Well, it's mainly in animal products,
Okay.
like beef liver, clams, and oysters.
Okay.
But there are other good sources, too,
Like what?
like salmon tuna dairy and some fortified cereals.
So if you're a vegetarian or vegan,
Right.
you might need to be careful about getting enough B12.
Exactly, because animal products are the main source.
Yeah.
So they might need to take supplements.
But you should always talk to your doctor before taking any new supplements, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so easy to self-diagnose and then start taking things without talking to a doctor.
It's much safer to get advice from your doctor.
Exactly. So your doctor can tell you what kind of B12 supplement is best for you.
Right.
There are capsules, sublingual tablets, and even IV infusions if you have problems absorbing B12.
Exactly.
So the takeaway here is to get your B12 levels checked
Yeah.
and talk to your doctor about whether you need supplements.
Especially if you're having any of those symptoms we talked about.
Right, like fatigue, brain fog, or trouble concentrating.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
Now, this study focused on B12 and how it affects our brains as we get older.
Right.
But I'm curious about something.
What's that?
Could getting enough B12 throughout our lives
Yeah.
help prevent cognitive decline later on?
That's a great question, and it's something researchers are looking into.
Yeah.
This study didn't give us a definite answer,
Right.
but it definitely opens up new possibilities for research.
It would be amazing if something as simple as getting enough B12
I know, right?
could help protect our brains as we age.
It's an exciting thought.
It really is.
It is.
Okay, one more thing. This study was an observational study,
Okay.
not a randomized controlled trial.
Right.
Can you explain the difference?
So an observational study just observes a group of people
Okay.
and looks for any patterns,
Yeah.
but it can't prove cause and effect.
Okay.
A randomized controlled trial is different.
How so?
They randomly assign people to different groups,
Mm-hmm.
and one group gets the treatment,
Okay.
and the other group gets a placebo.
I see.
So in this case, they just observed people with different B12 levels
Right.
and saw how their cognitive function was different.
Gotcha.
But they didn't actually change their B12 intake
Right.
to see if it directly caused those differences.
That makes sense. So we can't say for sure that low B12 causes cognitive decline.
Exactly. We need more research.
Yeah, like a randomized controlled trial.
Right.
But this study does show that B12 is important,
Yes,
and we need to do more research on it.
absolutely. And
That's
it also shows how important personalized healthcare is.
Yeah.
Because what works for one person might not work for another.
True.
You really need to talk to your doctor
Yeah.
and get advice that's specific to you.
We've been talking about B12 for a while now.
Yeah. It's a complex topic.
It really is, and I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
There's always more to learn.
So for our listeners out there,
Yeah.
what's the one thing they should take away from this deep dive?
I think the most important thing is
Yeah.
to pay attention to B12
Okay.
and how it affects your brain.
Mm.
Even if you think you're getting enough,
Right.
talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
Get your levels checked
Yeah.
and see if maybe you need to increase your B12 intake.
This whole conversation just makes me
How's
think,
that?
like, could increasing our B12 intake
Hmm.
actually help prevent cognitive decline as we get older?
Right.
And if it can, how do we figure out how much each person needs?
Those are really important questions.
Yeah.
And to be honest, scientists are still trying to figure those things out. But that's what's so cool about research.
What do you mean?
Well, it helps us learn new things
Right.
and question what we thought we knew.
So it's good to be curious.
Exactly. And I hope this deep dive
Yeah.
encourages people to talk to their doctors about B12.
Me too. Knowledge is power.
It really is,
And in this case, it could help protect our brains.
which is pretty important.
It's like the most important thing.
right.
So if you're listening out there and you're feeling a little foggy,
Yeah.
or you're having trouble focusing,
Or you're just worried about your brain health in general,
don't ignore it.
talk to your doctor.
Maybe you need more B12.
It can make a big difference.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
It was a good one.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We had a great time exploring B12 and what it means for your brain.
Until next time.
Stay curious, stay informed, and take good care of your brain.
See you later.
Thanks for tuning in to the Health Headliner podcast by To Digital. Like and subscribe for more health news and breakthroughs. Stay healthy and informed. See you next time.